Welcome into the Real Kyper and Bourne Show, the Toronto Maple Leaf edition. Leaf spoil Kyle Dubas' return. We're going to get into that. But first and foremost, breaking news. Wherever you are watching and listening, Sportsnet 590, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus from 4 to 6. We're glad you're aboard for the next 2 hours. Once again, before we get into the Leaf edition of our show, breaking news, the Ottawa Senators have fired head coach DJ Smith. The Senators made the announcement a day after Ottawa lost its fourth straight to Vegas, 6-3. Jacques Martin, who previously served as the Senators' head coach, who joined DJ Smith's staff recently as a senior
consultant, I think.
Advisor, consultant, is now taking over the team on an interim basis.
It seems he has consulted. His consultation has been received.
Also added to the mix, Ottawa Senators great Daniel Alfredson to the staff. So let's open it up to you, JB, first. Sammy McKee also on board. Derek Brandeo, Jen Rolnick. We're all glad you're joining us. No real surprise here.
How'd you guys make out on Friday without me before we gone?
Listen,
survived.
The day you become more important than this news,
Hey,
okay?
I was at an establishment and they had it on TV with you two guys, and I was telling her, like, I'm usually on that show. No,
You're like, okay, pal.
I didn't. Continue.
JB.
Yes.
Before we were rudely interrupted by Sam's ego.
Impossible to say surprised, right? There had been a building momentum for this. The only surprise is that it felt like, Michael Andlauer just took over this team and spent a lot of money, $950 million US, if I'm not mistaken. It felt like if they were going to have some failure of a season, he wouldn't want to spend additional money to pay another coach, and I was wrong. So it seems that they did end up pulling the trigger, and maybe they don't think it's too late on the year.
The talk, guys, the last little while with Andlauer is stability and patience, and I mean, it doesn't feel that right now, and I'm not suggesting that he caved to, I guess, social media, public sentiment, whatever you want to say, but they've been calling for DJ's job for a while now out in Ottawa, and I guess maybe the feeling was, how long could he wait?
Well, and you also have to weigh, if you're him, the cost of paying two coaches versus how much you losing the engagement of this fan base who wants this change, who doesn't feel like the team is well coached enough. One of my good pals is a Sens fan and listens to Ottawa radio every day, and basically was saying that, they hadn't been blaming DJ up until very recently. And now, it is pretty much consensus that he had been a big part of the problem. And at that point, if you're Andlauer, I think you got to do something. So they did something. And now they've brought in sort of a stopgap, right? Doesn't feel like Jacques Martin is going to be the head coach of the Ottawa Senators in 2024-25, nor Alfredson. So it feels like a stopgap.
Is he 71 turning 72 or 72 turning 73? And does that
Yes, it does
play a huge part?
Doesn't matter which number, one of those numbers, it doesn't matter.
Does it, whatever it is it just too far gone that they find a way to create some magic here and he's comfortable that you would actually keep him
reunited and it feels so good?
I got to say, Jacques Martin behind the bench, Alfredson, it feels like I'm in high school again. It's like, this is the team I hate.
On the way out, Alex Swan goes, is Patrick Lalime going to play goal?
I feel...
Or come back and be the coach, the goaltending coach.
I just feel like I get to hate my youthful team I hated the most all over again. They're just back.
Lalime...
It's great. I get that he's a legend. I get all that. But at this point, with this team...
He hasn't been head coach in 11 years.
He was recently with the New York Rangers.
Yeah.
And there's some that suggested maybe, even being part of the Rangers, that it's just maybe time to hear a different voice.
I mean, say what you will about 71. The running joke I have, like everyone, parents and family and all that at 71, and I don't trust all of them to not lose their Netflix password. So, maybe Jacques Martin is sharper than some of my extended. It's impressive if he is sharp enough,
Boy,
but it's a big
tell you
ask
what,
after not being a head coach for 11 years.
When my parents call me and tell me I can't get the TV on, I cancel the rest of the day.
Well, let me clear my schedule.
Let me clear my schedule because we're going to be here a while.
We're going to troubleshoot this. Yeah, technology is complicated matters. So, yeah, Albertson hasn't coached.
How do I get my stuff off the cloud? Where's the cloud?
Can't help you, man. Yeah, so it's, he's obviously an established hockey guy, defensive-minded, structured coach.
Listen,
hasn't been away from the game that long.
Let's be honest. The moment we heard Jacques Martin was coming back, this was...
My mom just texted me.
Oh, no. He was on the on-deck circle.
You think so? Sorry, Mom.
If you're Michael Andlauer, think about Jacques Martin now getting that first phone call for him saying, listen, DJ needs some help here, and I need some help here, and you're a stable voice. You've got great history here. Come on in. Isn't my first question is, if you fire him 2 weeks from now or a month from now, who's taking over?
Yeah. I think that's a relevant piece of information.
That's the way I saw it. Like he knew there was a chance that this was going to happen. Everybody except maybe DJ knew. DJ knew too. That's listen. You got a couple of weeks to straighten this out, and hopefully with Jacques and you guys can get the team going, and or else you're done and he's taking over.
Yeah, it's just, it's kind of a weird situation when you bring in a guy and say, this guy's here to be our consultant, and he's clearly there for your job.
Yeah.
Sort of an odd arrangement. Like, the question is, like, when Dorian got fired a little bit into the season, right?
Yeah.
But, like, when you go to take over a team, if you're Andlauer, like, aren't you kind of thinking, do we need a fresh start? Isn't that one of the early conversations?
For sure.
This is Andlauer's worst nightmare, is that you're a rookie owner, and you don't make it to Christmas before you fire
both
two major placeholders in your organization.
Well, how about this?
Right?
I don't know how comfortable or how far you want to go in this, but I know you were part of the process. Like, how would you guys have handled this? Like, it seems like it's a weird thing to go.
Well, my group knew that that Pierre had multiple years on his deal still, and DJ had 1 year left, and he was looking for a new contract, and he was sure very disappointed that he didn't have anything beyond this year. Mm-hmm. So a little choice do any of us have. If you're in your last year of your deal, you're in your last year deal. You still have to work. You still want to collect your paycheck. You're not walking away from anything. You're not holding a gun to anyone's head. You're just going to play it out. But he was looking for sure. And, my group, we had conversations on short-term and long-term. And, I mean, how do I phrase this? If I had my way, like Patrick Waugh was going to start behind the bench this year for the Ottawa Senators.
Oh, my God. What?
Oh, my God.
I just said if I had my way.
Yeah. If you were.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patrick Waugh would have been the head coach of the Ottawa Senators.
Oh, man. That would have been a fascinating combination with all the talent there.
Well, that was an interesting piece of information.
Yeah. I mean, it is now for them. Like it feels like they're going to be shopping for a guy, and Waugh is still available. There's Gallant, there's Berube. Do you think they'll hire someone?
I think he's on the bench next game.
That's the guy, you think?
Who? Daniel Alfredson.
Doing Marty St. Louis. Never been in a head coach. And just,
yes.
Yeah. This was kind of my thought too, though.
If you even consider that.
Yes.
I thought he might be GM.
The chain of command, right? Like it's like you bring in Jacques Martin, who's the veteran coach who had him forever, knows him well. He's the guy that like sits there and is the coach, but you're grooming the next head coach. It kind of makes a ton of sense.
Listen, for Daniel to go from a spot duty in Sweden and just wave and shake hands and kiss babies Well, nobody kisses babies anymore. But
Well, you have to wear a mask and sanitize.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But that's one thing.
Yeah.
For him now to go day to day, like don't go day to day if you don't have any aspirations. Right?
Yeah, okay. So I totally see your point.
So
like, okay,
what-
if you're going to be a part of the everyday, you might as well just be the guy.
Why not
I'll tell you what.
look at Marty St. Louis and look at the stability that he's brought in? And yes, I get it. They're not ready to win now, the Montreal Canadiens. But at the end of the day, neither were the Ottawa Senators this year.
Can I tell you something? I think the idea of, hey, famous guy that is beloved in our organization, be the head coach, is disrespectful to the job that head coaches do. I think it assumes someone can just do it because they know hockey really well. I think there's a lot of, how to communicate, how to prepare, all the different facets that go into coaching, whether it is considering line matchups and zones and all the stuff as it happens. I understand he's going to be the assistant coach with Jacques Martin there, but I just think it's a big ask for a guy. And I know Marty St. Louis has done a fine job for the Montreal Canadiens. He had been involved, I know at a much lower level, but he had been doing
His
some
kids.
coaching.
He's coaching his kids.
Yeah, I think this team is ready to win. Hold on, let me finish.
Yeah.
The Montreal Canadiens have young people that were there to be developed, and Marty St. Louis made sense for them.
Yeah.
This team's supposed to win.
No, I think there's still way more development for sure and maturity out of the Ottawa Senators. And I do agree with you. I'm
But
not
the rebuild's over. Dorian told us.
No.
So do their fans.
Yeah, that's right.
No.
They told me they get better
there's
core
more.
than the Leafs.
There's more, and it's up to now Andlauer and Steos to say, okay, maybe we've got too many of the same, and now we got to change it. Maybe one major trade, a little bit more experience. Maybe you give up a little bit of the future for the present. That's up to them to find that. But I think they're not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
They're not there yet. But I don't disagree with you, JB, in terms of, listen, there's a lot more than just putting a pretty face behind the bench and being a name.
And I also think, you don't trade for Claude Giroux and sign Tarasenko for a team that doesn't think they're competitive or trying to make playoffs now.
But you can surround yourself with people, and maybe Jacques Martin can be that guy to help him look for line matchups and groom him towards.
Maybe they flip their roles next year. Martin stays around.
Or maybe it's Jacques that sticks around for a year and a half while Daniel Alfredson gets his feet wet. But I don't know. I don't mind it if Daniel wants to really turn himself into a coach.
It's scary.
Then
it's scary for me though. Like, with Martin St. Louis, he never was like a legendary Hab. There was already the relationship that Alfredson had with the Sens during the Melnick era.
Oh, like what if it goes bad?
Yeah. Like
coaches get fired. You're right.
For sure. Like there is no question that if Daniel Alfredson becomes the head coach of the Ottawa Senators, he will at some point be fired. And then you're souring the relationship again with your most legendary player.
Ooh, that's a great take.
I don't like the former legend of the team taking over the team. Like I've never loved that. So I don't know. It's risky. Like to me, just being like, hey, Craig Berube, you're the coach now.
Yeah.
It's way more of like a straight line idea than be like developing one of your legends to be the head coach.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a big reach.
What are they? A dozen points out of a wild card spot? I think they're chasing maybe a Washington Capitals.
They're chasing
100
They're
teams.
chasing every team.
I know, but what is it to a wild card spot? A dozen points?
I'm going to do by points percentage. They are second last, and in raw points, they're 11 points back.
Is that too much to overcome here? Is this about...
Check that. They are 12 points back.
Is there enough time to get them back in the race?
No.
Yeah, what do I know? I had Edmonton almost written off at American Thanksgiving.
Not almost.
Yeah.
We both said they were done.
Yeah.
There's no almost involved there, pal.
Yeah. Not just shoveling dirt on
Bad
the
take.
tombstone
Bad
was
take.
planted.
We're going to welcome in Elliotte Friedman at the top of the hour, Hockey Night in Canada, 32 Thoughts, to dive more into the Ottawa Senators and their future, short and long term. And we'll continue that conversation throughout our show. In the meantime,
Leafs Hour.
Leaf edition of our show. Kyle Dubas' return, not so rosy.
You don't look so happy about it.
7-0. That
Everything's great.
was a shellacking.
Could it have gone any worse if your Dubas coming back into the building? Could
No
a
way.
thing have gone any worse outside of like an injury to Crosby?
I said on Saturday night that, Bertuzzi gets 3 points. Domi gets 3 points. Gregor scores. Martin Jones shutout. Like all these guys that Treliving signs goes out there and dominates the team that, it's a tough one for him.
That's a tough night. A great night for Toronto Maple Leafs and their fans. That is the most complete and thorough beatdown since we've had a show together, I think.
Yeah, I was there.
Oh, you were there?
Yeah, I went. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to be in the building. There was a buzz. The sense was that Pittsburgh has not been great lately. This was a game.
Quote me last week on this show saying they stink and Malkin's washed.
And just the Kyle Dubas factor. You would have thought, and I don't know, I don't think I can ever recall our general manager putting money on the board.
Oh,
But
this guy did.
I'm sure
of
he
it.
had some message to his players. Boys, I really want this one.
But Kip, further to that, incentivized for the GM or not, that was their dad's trip. They played like that in front of their dads. What a tough night.
Yeah.
So, you were in the building.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything. They didn't put up anything on the board. They didn't.
Nothing on the video that I saw or nothing. All you got at the end of the night was the Dubas chants from the crowd.
Yeah.
So,
One by Felicia clip they played on the Jumbotron, and that was it.
as the.
Which is really strange, and I found kind of
Bye, Felicia.
sad, to be honest with you.
go
He
ahead.
became politically polarizing.
Yeah, but he was also the general manager for the team for 6 years, and they set points records, and they were really good for pretty much his entire tenure. Like, I'm not Mr. Dubas, as you guys know here, but I think they probably should have put up a thing for him, no? Maybe they didn't want to give a chance to
I
boo
think
him.
things got personal.
It got too bad.
Towards the end.
I mean, to
You
me,
think? That's politically
I don't know if
correct.
you guys were paying attention, but things got personal towards the end.
but don't you think I think it's a pretty big statement
Dude,
to not do anything.
The Islanders gave Tavares congratulations on their Jumbotron.
Like, that's clearly upper management. You know where I'm going with this, being like, mm-mm.
No, we're not doing that.
Right?
It's ugly. It's
I-
just ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Can we have a quick chat about Matthew Knies looking like the best power forward in the NHL?
okay, why? I
Joking, but
I didn't think the attention was strong enough for the Gordie Howe hat trick for Matthew Knies.
has there been one for the Leafs in
here,
years?
Would you like to know who had the last one?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. How long ago?
2015. You have it's on in your lineup.
2015.
So you're gonna
oh,
look
it's
at
here.
it, yeah.
Oh, I don't want to
removed?
look.
Yeah. It's a crazy name.
Yeah, I would never have guessed.
Yeah, it's Daniel Winnick.
I would never have guessed Daniel.
Daniel Winnick is the last Maple Leaf with a Gordie Howe hat trick on February 1st, 2015.
How about, first off, the goal was unbelievable. You talk about like start on time, whatever. The way he's moving his feet around that corner, backhand shelf, like that was.
It was
chef's kiss.
like we expect that out of Austin Matthews.
Yes. Like among the best players in the league, that's an elite goal. And then to stick up for Domi, and it wasn't like one of those flurry grappling, a glove comes off, he gets a fight, and he fought the guy. Like,
He
fought a guy who fights a lot too.
he threw the gloves to the ice and was throwing punches. And for not
Yes.
even, it was kind of nothing.
Yeah.
Like the hit was like
it looked
nothing.
like he wanted
Yes.
an excuse to get in a fight.
I loved it. I loved it.
I thought you might.
for so many different reasons, and one of them is because the fan base is starving for that.
We have a lot
You
of.
know what it is for me?
Oh, go ahead.
What it is for me is it just shows you that he will. That's all I need. Like, Gregor fought at some point this year, and it's like, okay, there's a point where if things are bad enough, he will. Whereas, years of watching Willie Nylander at 6'2", 210, like he's not going to. They have certain guys who just will not. So nice to have another guy who will.
Okay, on that note, let's start.
We got lots of fight clips.
Let's start our first Kippers Clipper of the week on the man of the hour Saturday night, Matthew Knies, on his fight.
Feels good. I don't think, I'm going to the game looking to do that, but it just happened. And, I think Domi went down. I just didn't really like the play. And, I think it was just necessary for me to step up, and because I just really didn't like how we went down there.
How many bouts have you had in your fighting career?
That will be the first one of my career. So, yeah.
None in college?
No. Nope. You got a cage on, so you can't really get into anything too serious. But yeah.
So, that's first of all, how old is he?
21.
That sounds like
Isn't he?
That sounds like a 38-year-old person speaking.
He's a big person. He's 21.
Yeah, that does not sound like a 21-year-old man.
Listen,
Yeah, actually, he just turned 21 2 months ago.
I'm watching Saturday night, still a man-child.
Yes.
Okay?
And
he's not even scratched the surface, I think, on how big and strong he will be.
All these guys they talk about the Leafs trading for, and we go, this guy might be a chip. Like, to me, he's like a non-chip. Like, you cannot trade this guy. He will kill you for years.
No, it's a absolute no-fly zone with considering trading him. The second clip to me.
Yes, this is the one I'm really interested in hearing on Matthew Knies and how much he likes to fight.
Just fine, honestly. I kind of blacked out a little bit. I just wanted it to, I just wanted to get as much off as I could, and it was. It's a cool feeling, I guess, to get that adrenaline rushing, and but yeah.
So he liked it. Did he
more
create
than I do? I can tell you that.
Create a bit of a monster, perhaps.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because as someone that's been through this process, once you kind of step in that area, you've made a bit of a commitment on being that type of guy. And everybody's got short memories. It's the next one that is going to tell the tale here. So how willing will you be in other situations, and how will other teams now treat you? Like, whether or not you're going to be that guy who really tries to pick and choose when he wants to go in or when not to go in, or what happens when he gets challenged now. Like,
you can't have it be part of his repertoire.
Do you want a guy like this doing it once a month, or, sometimes it's just the threat of doing it that can be enough or helpful? Like, where is that spot, that sweet spot for Matthew Knies to now turn himself into a power guy who can also look after business if business needs to be taken care of?
I think if you just play hockey with no intent of fighting, there are a few times a season where you want to fight. Like, where you just are so mad and it just comes up, someone hits it just comes up. That's enough for me. If those 2-3 times a season he wants to do it, that would be great. You still want the guy to try to score 30 times and get you 80 points and do all that sort of stuff. That would be fine.
I'll ask you too, this guy. This is something I've noticed in the last 2 weeks. Feels like a guy that's kind of noticing how big and strong he is over the past 2 weeks. Like, I've seen a material change in him almost, or I've seen him throwing the body a little bit more. Seen him just leaning on guys. He gets in a fight.
I hope he's got a little bit of that mean streak in him. I really do. And I think he can be smart in picking and choosing his spots, but he's going to get challenged a little bit more now moving forward.
You think?
And I don't know how he's going to handle that, or how he's going to want to handle that. Do you? It's not even close to how it was in my era.
No.
But it's still out there, as little as there is out there. You don't want to be also a guy who is constantly turning down, right?
Yeah.
To the point where,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that there's a fine line.
But I'm looking for the model of who we're talking about here. For like the type of guy that exists in the league whose role is to contribute offensively, play top six, but also do that. And Tom Wilson is where everyone's head goes.
Gold standard.
But he's like a 50-point guy, isn't he? Like that's like a ceiling type of year for him. Maybe
Brady
whatever.
Tkachuk.
Sure. I mean, Brady
But
Tkachuk.
he can't fight like Brady.
Yeah.
Well,
He can't. Or maybe he can and he doesn't know it yet.
yeah, Brady's off his rocker in a good way.
Yeah,
I love Brady
that's what
Tkachuk.
I
We all
say.
love him on the show.
I don't think Knies' wires cross like Brady's cross.
No, but okay, Brady Tkachuk's a good example of someone who you'd say, okay, can you score 30 plus, whatever, and also be that guy? I mean, they're unicorns. Like maybe Matthew Tkachuk's a better example for him. I actually think that's more accurate. How many times Matthew Tkachuk fight a year? Twice? But he gets 100 points?
Did he fight 4 times last year?
Can look that up for you.
5 times?
But that's the type of thing. Like they're so rare.
For me,
they exist in the Tkachuk family and nowhere else.
For me, it's just the threat sometimes of just knowing that
Someone on the ice.
someone will be willing to cross that line. The Leafs have not had that,
No.
at least from their position up front. They've always tried to get, if it was Matt Martin or Clifford or now Ryan Reeves, but can you get someone
Who's on the ice?
In a power top 6
Yeah.
to play that type of game?
Which is why I say he's so untradeable for me, given what the Leafs have lacked, and given what a unique player he could be for them. We have
I
lots more
loved it,
clips
though.
on this.
Absolutely loved it.
Tkachuk has fought twice so far this year.
No, how about last year, though?
I'm looking up here in 22, 3-4 times.
Like that's kind of what we're looking at as a
Versus
tops for Knies.
Yeah.
Raffle, Klingberg,
Yeah, he's not fighting Reeves.
Marchment.
Yeah.
He doesn't fight a ton.
Yeah.
But just here and there.
Hopefully that's what Knies is like too. Do you want to hear his teammates and Keefe talking about him? What
Yeah, let's go to Keefe.
do you want to hear on his game or on the fight?
Fighting. Who
Yeah,
cares about his game?
Clip 3 on what does Knies fighting tell you?
I think just this commitment to the group, quite honestly, I didn't see exactly initially what was going on down in the corner there, so I didn't know exactly how it started, but just to see how, in his first ever fight comes not for anything to do with him. It's just he didn't like what was going on with Max, and he steps in and then leads to the fight, and he's right there and stands his ground. It's part of the game, and I think he's a big, strong, physical guy that I think has the ability to really assert himself in more ways than just what we saw in that fight, in that skirmish. But you see the goal that he scored just to get us started in the game. That's, to me, that's the complete package that he has the ability to grow into in terms of being a physical force. And I think that's really where, the sort of the next phase of his development is.
There you go. That's what we were talking about.
Domi lost another tooth on that play.
Did he have any left?
He's going to be able to eat Mentos with his jaw clamp shut. Just slide him in. He's got nothing left up there.
Did that did feel like it was a total team effort. Like I listen, the Leafs have been on a hot run, but there hasn't been too many wins this year that it's felt like it was 1-20 in the lineup compared to four of their top guys
Very
carrying them again.
I mean, Max Domi, that was his best game as a Toronto Maple Leaf. I love the back check on Marner's goal. Like he catches a guy from behind, lifts his stick, turns it over for Robertson, who sauces one in for Marner. That to me from Domi, like tracking, working back defensively, that's the stuff where he's going to take criticism. And obviously he did all the other stuff. The goal he scored was also, pièce de résistance, beautiful type stuff.
I said that's the nicest goal the Leafs have scored all year. From the Martin Jones sauce to the through the legs pass from Marner, the kick up from Knies to the pump fake finish. It was like, oh my God, that was a full team effort.
The
Pittsburgh
Leafs,
should be ashamed.
Yeah.
They were so bad.
the Leafs record since 2016 without Austin Matthews in the lineup is kind of mind-boggling. 34, 19, and 3.
Yeah.
Well, they have a lot of good players.
Well, and that's, a little bit worse than their record over the years, right? Like they've been a good team for years now.
There was a buzz when it was announced or when everybody found out that no Austin and no TJ Brody Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, uh-oh. But I wonder if we saw a lineup really nervous and scared that this game could get away from them because they don't have Austin in it.
I think that's relevant.
I think
passengers thing.
No passengers, but hey, no one has to go and replace 34. Just play a sound game at both ends of the ice and we'll be fine.
They do look different. Like, I know it's Austin Matthews, duh. They look different, but they do feel like a very different type of team when he doesn't play. Like it's I don't know how to explain it. I guess everybody just kind of elevates a bit. Like I think Marner here, I had it somewhere. He has 63 points in 54 games.
You summed it best earlier in the year where sometimes you just watch them win or lose. It feels like Team A and a Team B.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no Team A or Team B Saturday night.
Yeah, no, you had every guy pulling in the same direction. The Leafs now, remember last year we talked, there's a point this year where I think you were saying, the year before they got really hot in November, and I don't know they're going to be able to go on one of those runs. In the last 15 games, the Leafs are 10-1-4.
Yeah.
The numbers, underlying stuff aren't as good over that time, but they're just finding ways, and that was their most complete victory, minus a lot of good players.
They do have a different feel about them. I think they aren't quite as good, clearly defensively.
Yeah. But
they do have like a sort of, it's hard to quantify. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe you guys can feel it better, but it's just maybe they're better offensively. They score more. They're just the different types of guys than they've had in the past years in the bottom six, but they just feel different to me. And I don't know how to quantify it. What about you?
Okay. Let's take a quick break here.
Yeah, sure.
And we'll get into that after the break, including tomorrow night, New York Rangers in town.
Mm-hmm.
Who's in net, boys?
We'll
answer that after the break. More Real Kyper and Bourne. Don't go away. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. Talking Leafs, shellacking Pittsburgh Penguins. And now they're getting ready to face the New York Rangers. Another team that maybe has a long memory on their last game in Madison Square Garden, where kind of felt a little bit like Saturday night, where the Leafs completely took over the game. And I think that was the night they showed all the dads doing the dance.
Oh, they were having a good time.
They were having a really good time.
So
Papa Poppy was having a good time.
Shots. So it's funny because the next week they play two teams that they just played, right? So they play tomorrow against the Rangers and then Saturday against Columbus.
Actually, they play Columbus twice more before the New Year.
And so Keith actually got asked about that, about playing it, and he kind of gave an interesting answer on playing the same teams. Or if you want to hear that, clip 8.
Go.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's good. I like that. I mean, you used to get that a ton in the American League. It was back to back in the same weekend, or you see them again the next week, and you see them with such regularity. I think it adds a little extra to it. The preparation is that much easier, which is a nice thing to have in the NHL. When you've got 31 teams to prepare for, to have it where it's a little bit shorter turnaround to get prepped. And then you've got some adjustments to make from what you did the previous time out. So there were some things we talked about here today that we felt we didn't do very well when we were in New York, and it gives us time to make those adjustments and be that much more ready tomorrow.
Yeah, they're going to have to be ready because the Rangers will come out a lot harder.
Good Lord, yeah. By the way, as a video coach, what a delight to replay the same team. You just point to your old work and go, you like?
So basketball changed to doing it like the baseball style, where you like go to a city and play the same team twice, or you'll go to their city and play. I'd love them to do that in hockey. Just feels like in hockey, it just people, they get pissed, and it adds to. I just basically want to see more anger in hockey.
Yeah.
So if you're playing the same team two nights in a row,
3-day weekend, it just
bang them out.
That's a
Bang 'em
KHL.
out.
I do think, though, that there is a real problem there, how you're a very different team at different points of the season, right? Like a post-trade deadline or before, or with, suddenly Matthews is hurt and you have to play Boston 3 times in a row, or, whatever. It's
tough
like,
break.
well, sure. And
They're better without Matthews
but
anyway.
people do say, oh my God. People do say, that sort of thing would even out over time or whatever. But I like the idea that you spread it out.
Okay.
All right, where do you want to go? Depth, defense, or goaltending on some of our clips?
Goalies. We got to go goalies.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've gone
What do you
40,
do?
We've gone 40 minutes here. We haven't talked about the goalies.
Who's starting tomorrow night against the New York Rangers?
Ilya Samsonov should start.
Yeah, I got Martin Jones starting.
I can't put him back in the net right now, buddy.
What
There's
are we working towards
There's
here?
some really ugly goals against Columbus.
You are the exact guy
I know.
who tells me that the regular season doesn't matter. They're going to get their points. Why are we grinding? You think Jones is going to be this much better than him?
He's excluded from that conversation.
Martin Jones is.
No, Samsonov
Okay.
is excluded from the, they're going to get their points. They're going to make this. Like, you got to ask yourself, how much time is it going to take me to get this guy where I need him to be?
And you got to find out.
Because you're running out of it.
I know. He's got to play.
Yeah.
You got to figure out if he can do it or not. If he can't do it, then wait bye-bye.
It doesn't mean also throwing him back into, the pit. It means like good practices. It means, getting himself into a good, healthy mindset, which, listen, his biggest challenge, he's an athletic, talented goalie.
Mm-hmm.
His battle is between the ears.
Not this again. Old Campbell.
Yeah, and they're giving him ample time. They've given him half a season.
They've given him 13 games. It's 13 games over 2.5 months, 2 months and change. My thought on this, you zoom out. Okay, what happens if the guy plays good or bad? What happens if this guy plays good or bad?
Okay.
Martin Jones plays good. Was he your goalie now? Is that you're content with Martin Jones? You're going to trade Samsonov? He's going to be your backup?
Okay. Let's listen to the coach talk about Martin Jones, and then you can reframe what you say about Martin Jones.
Let's have it.
Okay.
He was so calm and relaxed in there tonight. I mean, on a night like this tonight, score being what it is, and it's one of these nights where almost everything's going your way offensively. Talked about this the other night. Like, you're down 5-0 the other night. To me, it's not as bad as the scoreboard shows. There's still good things happening. And when you're up big like we were tonight, it's not as good necessarily as the scoreboard shows. There's still lots of stuff coming our way at our net. And goaltender has to be really sharp. Otherwise, the game can start to change a little bit. Momentum's changing. He didn't allow that to happen. He was just so calm and relaxed in there. And that just made everybody else just start to feel that much better, about themselves and their game.
Calm.
To me, that's what he keeps talking about. And it's like, I think.
And it's uncalm with Samsonov.
You guys are trying to win the game Saturday. I'm trying to win the cup.
Yeah, but you're not going to win the cup with Samsonov
Sorry,
anyway.
I'm talking about Tuesday, whatever.
Yeah.
You're going to win the cup. It's about banking as many points as you can bank until Joe Wall's healthy.
This is a massive swing then in what this show has set as a precedent and a priority for this goaltending tandem.
Well,
if it's now we're grinding out points and hanging on for Joe Wall, we've completely changed what this season was.
Yeah, I'm broken.
Which was like a 50-game Samsonov, 30-game Wall to start the year.
I'm broken.
Now he's gone.
Broken.
I think that's a distant memory right now. You are
okay.
You are.
I'm content with
listen,
that explanation.
I am not.
If it's over, it's over.
I'm not. But I'm not there yet. I'm not necessarily kicking him to the curb. I'm not writing him off. Mm-hmm. But it's changed now in terms of what your game plan is between today and moving forward, and how long are you willing to wait? Like right up until the trade deadline?
With Samsonov?
Yeah.
No, I want to know sooner. A lot sooner.
See, I do too. Doesn't mean necessarily he starts against the New York Rangers,
mm-hmm.
but there needs to be a line that needs to be drawn, and if he doesn't hit it, then sorry, but time for a different direction.
Do you envision
Martin Jones playing 50% of the games moving forward?
No.
That Wall's not available. Like you want to switch them out, one in, one out.
No, I don't think so. I mean, Martin Jones to me is here to be the third string guy to come in and serve capably in a game where your team dominates like they did against Pittsburgh. It was perfect. he racked up wins for Seattle. He got a lot of wins, but his numbers weren't that pretty. You know, like he actually, they weren't even good at all, which is why he's in the American League.
Watching him play, I can get why a coach would just keep putting him in there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like the way he looks in there versus what Samsonov looks like. Like, yeah, he's probably going to let in 3 goals or 4. Like, it's not going to be necessarily the numbers. He's just so calm. That's what it is.
Like Sheldon,
He was so
wanna
calm
play
and
one game without calm.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I want calm all the time.
This reminds me of the conversation of a guy like Nick Robertson, or pick your young guy that you're developing, and should he play 15, 16, 17, 18 minutes to develop? Even if he's not playing well, you give him the opportunity to work through it and whatever, which is kind of the Samsonov guy here. Or, do you think they should have to figure it out and wait for their opportunity and whatever else? I guess it depends where you sit on that sort of stuff. I don't know what Samsonov is going to do. Maybe in practice, have a great day and show you, okay, he's ready now.
Buffalo later this week.
Mm-hmm.
Columbus Saturday.
Maybe more
Saturday.
of an opportunity to get a win and get him feeling good. You can sell me on that. Say you're afraid of a Ranger shellacking.
I'm not there watching practices, but somebody is. Look good, create good energy.
I will say the things I read about him in practice, and excuse me for forgetting who is tweeting this, but like hanging his head between shots and like really trying to pump himself up and just struggling. So, yeah, I know. But that to me means like, okay, if we can't use them, we can't use them. Let's figure it out sooner than later. And anyway.
Like we talk about the Treliving offseason. This is the smartest part of the Treliving offseason.
Not giving Samsonov 3x5.
Like, forget everything else. Like, talk about Domi, Bertuzzi, whatever positive thing you want to say. I mean, there's the negative parts too. But not giving him multiple years is looking like an absolute stroke of genius.
Well,
unless you think that's the reason why his psyche was fragile to start.
Sure, you can have that too.
The other thing that someone mentioned to me Saturday night at the game was how hard arbitration was on him.
Yeah, I had a couple people tell me that too.
Okay, we've all been there. They tell us we stink. We don't deserve this. We don't deserve that.
I heard that all the time. It's great.
But once it's over, and it's just business.
Yeah.
But some are saying that it really bothered him. It affected him because he thought he could maybe end up with a decent long-term deal off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I'm just speculating here, but you gotta file that away. You gotta tuck it in a cupboard and just play now. Just play.
But
stop a puck.
just move on.
You're right though. And just to your point, you think about what it cost him.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he has a multi-year contract, it's one thing, you got the money, but now there's all this pressure on him and it's going sideways.
Well, yeah.
And what's it look like now next offseason?
Yeah, I don't know. You're, struggling. You're a PTO.
Like you're looking at $750 here.
Okay. You can't think like you, Sammy, right now if you're him. Just
I know,
you're playing
feels like
for
he
your
is.
practice.
Yeah, it feels like he is.
Have a good practice
and
build off of it. You got to plant a seed and you got to grow. Because right now you're not growing right now, and you can't even think about next year. Think about your practice today, and think about possibly starting against Buffalo, and do not think about anything else. You are
Practice.
not allowed. You're not allowed.
Yeah, I like that. That's the coaching he needs.
But I'm sure. I mean, that's probably not going to work.
No, can't just tell
if
someone,
he's this,
don't worry, has never once worked as a piece of advice.
If he's this phased by it, he's thinking about it. And yeah, I think he goes Jones tomorrow against the Rangers, Sammy Thursday, and then are you putting Samsonov back in there to place a team that just put 5 on or 6 on him?
Yes.
To me, it's just like Sammy.
For revenge.
It's Sammy, then Merry Christmas. If he didn't play well in those games, we'll find someone else.
Wow.
I don't know. Play the man. He's a goalie. He's not a Fabergé egg. Put him in the net.
I disagree.
Well, clearly.
I watched that. I mean, I didn't have a chance to come in here and talk about the craziest Leafs game of the year on the Thursday, but he was brutal in that game. Like there's 4 goals that went in there. It's just like, no, those should not go in.
The one that went through his shoulder.
Should not go in.
Yeah.
And it's just like, he hasn't. It's a big enough sample size here now where you're like, okay.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
I just hate. All you can do is slag on him, but it's just at some point here, it's the NHL.
Yep.
Need some saves.
Are we okay? The lily pad is back. 20 minutes.
Yeah.
McKay seems a little bit more comfortable these days.
McCabe is blossoming.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I love this guy. He looks like the guy they hoped he would be last year and never really found it. That 15-game run where they're 10-1-4 that I told you about, that started with McCabe's return. Coincidence? Maybe, yeah.
I think it's been clearly the best stretch of his Leafs career.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine him having many better stretches in his career than he's had right now.
I would say this is it.
What did you make of, I think Mitch Marner had, I don't know, a minute in the third period?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Didn't play much.
He got completely shut down, I think.
Yeah, I think I saw the power plays there rolling out. Like
Yeah.
Gregor got a goal, a power play goal at one point.
Like, honestly, I don't think he had more than a minute in the third period.
Love it. We've whined on the show a million times about them having too much ice time. But
you kept playing Nylander and Tavares. Don't you want to shut those guys down too?
I don't know. Those guys play 19 minutes. Mitch
Someone-
plays 25.
Someone needs to play. And I think for Mitch, a guy that plays.
Why, he was playing 10 minutes in the third period against Columbus.
Yeah.
which we all said was
So
ridiculous.
it is game dependent.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not personal. You know, I think it's just how do we utilize this
I don't
guy?
know, though. I mean, I'm not sure I would have liked to have been completely sitting there without anything.
Yeah, no,
I bet he hated it.
He could have had, probably.
I bet he
shifts.
hated it, but that's, you know.
He played 15:36. When's the last time he played
They
15:36?
were all in the first two periods.
Imagine Mitch Marner goes out there, up 6-0, gets
Yeah.
hurt, and we turn his microphone on the next day.
Oh,
Well,
my
what about Willie?
God.
What about Willie getting hurt? We'd be saying the same thing. What's he doing out there?
I don't know. I don't think Mitch is the same class as Willie. Do you? Do you think they should be paid the same?
But he's going to make more than Marner. He's going to get
until
Marner's
next contract.
Yeah, I know, but he's going to pass. He's going to pass Marner.
Is that still, hey, Nylander's last 5 games? 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, 2 points.
So
To me,
he
Kyper-
is. He's just as valuable now,
But it's not hot. It's not football.
according to them. According to them,
Right.
I'm watching the Bills Cowboys yesterday, and Dak Prescott's still in the game. They're up. The Bills are up 34-3. I'm like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Like it's like you can clearly just. There's another guy that can go in there and play.
Yeah.
When like you should take it as a compliment to Marner that the coach felt that he's so important to the
listen,
team.
I'm fine with him
No, I don't
backing
know.
off.
I don't know
I'm
if-
fine with backing
You
him
sure?
off. I just don't know if I like. You might as well just tell him to go take a shower if you're not going to play me.
Yeah, get a early jump on the night. You know,
Right.
you just beat Dubas' Penguins.
Saturday
so.
night. See you later.
No, I couldn't care less about that. Sorry, Kippy.
Do we want to hear about what worked for the defense
Ah,
for the Leafs? No, none of that sort of stuff.
I think we're good on clips.
Bobby McMahon, no one's excited for my boy. Team McMahon over here.
Let's give Bobby McMahon a little love from the coach. How's that sound?
How about my boy Holmberg making an appearance again?
Pontus in the mix. He's
Yeah.
back. Look pretty good. Team
They're
wins.
gonna have to trade somebody. Holmberg, Robertson.
Robertson,
McMahon.
nice pass.
They gotta move somebody. Somebody. It's something. And one of those guys, or it's those guys in a draft pick.
Yeah.
But it's somebody's.
They need to boost some values here. Okay, quick McMahon. Oh, no,
Ah,
where are
it's
we?
too late.
We're too
What are
late.
you
We
gonna do?
missed it.
No, I thought it was an awesome reaction for him.
Yeah, he was
He's
really excited.
He's a 27-year-old guy. He's in the minors. Get your first NHL goal.
We're gonna
It's
play
sick.
tomorrow.
And that big, great Sally, he was fired up. Good pass by Bertuzzi too. Had a good game. 3 points.
Yeah, 3 points. That was, yeah.
All right. No guest to thank today. Just the three of us.
Oh,
Thank you.
we do have another hour.
How was your? Now I was just.
We lost 8-2.
I was joking around. You
Yeah.
were very valuable.
Okay,
you're newsworthy.
Good. We lost.
And we were fine without you, by the way. We
Good.
were fine without
By the way, we're doing about Owen Sound?
yeah, I do. We lost 8-2. I saw our boy Jason Bukla. Had a beer with him.
Nice.
Beauty.
Okay, we're not going away. We go national next. Elliotte Friedman firing in Ottawa when we return. Welcome on in to the Real Kyper and Bourne Show, the National Hour, live on Sportsnet, Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour, Real Kyper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365. As stated in our first hour of our show, DJ Smith fired today by the Ottawa Senators, losing their 4th game last night to Vegas. Something needed to be done, apparently. Jacques Martin takes over as the interim coach, and he'll be joined by Daniel Alfredson on the bench as well. We're going to have Elliotte Friedman join us in a few minutes from Hockey Night in Canada to add to this story. In the meantime, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee on board as well for the next hour. JB, is this the pressure, I guess, of the Ottawa fans demanding changes?
The fans win. To me, this is a fan-driven decision where you have a team who there was a lot of excitement around, right? You finally get ownership group in there that you're excited about. You get the GM out of there that some people didn't love. You have a lot of talent on the team. Expectations existed for the first time in a while, maybe last year too, but I know they weren't being met. I don't know that Andlauer wanted to do that this season, but I think it got to a point where he wants those fans to know that he'll make the right moves, or he'll make moves when things aren't going well. So I think, to me, this is a had to do what you had to do sort of thing for the fans.
We suck.
Wow. Torts, thanks for weighing in.
The standings suggest that.
They are dead last.
Dead last.
Points-wise, but again, they've barely played games. Second last by points percentage.
I think for them to be in this position after the offseason hype and the new ownership or whatever, this is a pretty, not easy, but it's a choice that they had to make.
Yeah,
and you see every article written in Ottawa right now. It was a storm. It would have been hard for them to stick by him for a lot longer. Now it's 2003 all over again. Jacques Martin's back, and Daniel Alfredson is there, and
here comes Patrick Lalime.
I was going to say, where's Patrick Schaefer when you need him? Anyway,
Dorian's long gone, but his message a few years ago that the rebuild is over. Did that set the table for this?
Well, yes, it did, Kip, because you look at where the team is at, and then you add Claude Giroux, and you go, oh, we're getting serious about now. He's not a young prospect. Then you sign Vladimir Tarasenko, and you're going, oh, that might be even in lieu of Shane Pinto here. Like, this is about the now, and the now doesn't happen. You have elevated the pressure unnecessarily on your staff, your team, everything around it. So, yeah, I'd say that's where this all originates, and frankly, it's the best thing for a team that has a lot of talent and should be better than they are. I think DJ's a good coach. Davis Payne also fired, was a coach of mine, excellent coach and a good guy. So they needed to do something. They got aggressive.
The one thing I said all along about the Ottawa Senators is I was not a fan of $20 million to Korpisalo.
You have, from day one, that has been your take.
How bad are the numbers here? Is it just simply
quite very?
Is it just a matter of getting a save percentage around 905, 910? That would be all the difference in the world of this team, or is it deeper?
No, Kip. Sometimes that's all this stuff is, right? Like we overcomplicate a lot of it, but coach firings and goaltender save percentage is directly correlated. And this guy was supposed to be a major stopgap for them. He hasn't been. I think that's fair.
That's one that you were
He's at 892.
You were very right about this, because I was, you looked at what they did in goal last year. Remember, it was like, didn't they have 7 or 8 goalies last year? It was like crazy what they did. Yeah, they got hurt and everybody, but for them to bring in Korpisalo, you thought, well, they got, at least he's an NHLer, he's league average, and then it just hasn't been anything of the sort. What's his contract, Kippy? I can't remember. Is it
5 by 5?
5 by 5?
No. No good. 4 million times 5.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, 20 million. I think he got for 5 years, which I mean, 4 is way better than 5 or 6.
It's way better, and I know that sounds silly to say over $1 million, but it is significant when you consider the cost. Yep, Kip absolutely nailed it.
Jacques Martin, take this the whole year. Do we envision Andlauer shopping? We're going to momentarily, we're going to get Elliotte Friedman. Maybe he can shed some light on short-term and long-term on the Ottawa Senators. But
this is obviously step one of a plan to me.
Can Jacques Martin rekindle the magic between him and the Ottawa Senators that quickly here?
He was the head coach, last head coach in the league in 2011, 2012 maybe, or maybe 2011 was the last year, but it's been 11 or 12 years since he's been a head coach. So that's a long time. Hasn't been behind the bench the past few seasons, right? He was at the Rangers last a few years ago, a couple advisory sort of roles. 71 years old, and with Daniel Alfredsson, who's never coached at all, it seems like part of a process, not the final plan, to say the least.
I had suggested in the first hour that if Daniel was going to take this on for the rest of the season, I assume that he's thought about aspirations moving forward past this season. Is there any scenario you see Daniel Alfredsson following the footsteps of Marty St. Louis in Montreal?
I certainly didn't till you had that chat. I was kind of thinking maybe he's like angling to like be the GM there at some point, but head coach is an interesting thought. Couple points that I think have been really relevant on this. One that Sammy made, which was coaches are hired to be fired, and you hate to hire a guy who eventually you have to fire Daniel Alfredsson again. Yeah. I don't like that. But also, I think it is a little bit blasé about what the role of a head coach is to just hand it to a guy, to a team with expectations who hasn't done it at all. I understand that this year he'll be sort of transitioning, but I just think it's a really big ask to say Daniel Alfredsson is going to be an NHL head coach of a team that, again, has some expectations. I think it's a lot.
What do you think?
I think they should just hire Gerard Gallant or Craig Berube or one of these guys and just kind of give it a kick. At this point of the season, I guess they probably don't want to pay him. But, like, don't you want a guy that's going to try to pull him out of the bottom?
Is it about paying him or having the expectations that a guy like Gerard, who has had success, short-term success with any team he's gone, like, what's salvageable
from this season?
From this season that you would go hire a gun like that to get you back in the race here or set something up for next season?
The best argument is that this team is 5 or 6 fewer games played than pretty much everyone else in their division. If you win those games, you're kind of in the mix again for a wild card spot, which, you know, right now they're a good distance out. But I also don't want to gloss over the fact that in the first hour you said that if your group had got the team, Patrick Waugh would have been the head coach of the Senators.
No, I did not say that.
Oh, okay. Sorry. No, you're right. You said your advice would have been for
if
that
I
team.
had my way.
That's right. One voice of many.
Would you have gotten your way?
Let's go to Elliotte Friedman now from Hockey Night in Canada. Elliott's timing is spectacular. What's going on, Fried? Just another day in the NHL.
Just let me say this, Nick. I had said before I had heard one of the groups was going to hire Patrick Waugh if they got it, but I never specifically said it was you because I wasn't sure, and I'm still not sure. So hopefully that helps you out a little bit.
Elliotte, when we first heard of Jacques Martin, was the writing on the wall? Was the clock ticking on DJ Smith?
I think, honestly, Nick, I really think they wanted DJ to finish the year. I really do. I think that was their plan. I mean, it was weird today. I was like this morning, I was wondering if there was any chance that a coaching change was going to happen. And then I heard he was running the practice, and I was like, okay, I guess, you know, maybe they're going to wait until they come back from the road trip this week. I was surprised it came down today. I was really surprised with the timing. I think Staios really wanted to finish the year, let this run for a bit. But they just got into a situation, and both of you guys have lived it as players, where, you know, you can't stop the bad momentum, and you have to find some way to do it. Like, I don't think Jacques Martin's the long-term solution here. You know, he is 71 years old. I don't think he's the long-term guy. And I heard what you guys talking about guys like Gerard Gallant. I'm going to throw another name at you, and that is the guy who's coaching the Toronto Marlies right now, John Gruden. And there's a lot of good coaches out there. There's Gallant, there's Evison, there's Jay Woodcroft, there's Craig Berube, who I think is a really good coach. John Gruden won an OHL championship with Mike Andlauer and Steve Staios in Hamilton in 2018. And I have no idea if the Maple Leafs would allow the Senators to talk to him during the season. But I think that's another name I would put on everybody's radar, because they know him. And sometimes if you're comfortable with somebody, that can make a big difference. But again, I didn't see today coming because DJ was running practice, and I really do think the Senators hope that they could finish out the year.
So it feels to me like step one of a process of some variety. Like, it doesn't feel like they're like, okay, Martin's going to be the guy and off we go. Alfredsson is on the bench. I think it's safe to say they see some involvement from Alfredsson, probably in a more involved role, right, around that organization. How do you see these next steps going? Is it they hire one of the guys that you mentioned, or Alfredsson being involved? What do you think they see this as a vision for the coaching position in Ottawa?
Well, I think what they see is that they have a lot of really good players.
Yeah.
Like, you know what, guys? Like, we just worked a game last Thursday where Columbus was on 5-0 on Toronto and barely got out of there with 2 points, right? And, I have to tell you, this year, one of the wildest things for me has been seeing teams like Ottawa and Buffalo, and Detroit's better, but even Columbus too, how many good young teams in this league can't hold leads. And I don't know if it's a lack of experience thing or a way kids are brought up today thing or the way the game is played now thing. The teams that are really disciplined and the teams that are really experienced and the teams that are really smart, they hold leads. And there's a lot of teams out there that are learning to win who can't. And I look at Jacques Martin, and Alfredsson has told this story many times, but when he was in Ottawa and Dave Allison was the coach, he was thinking of going back to Sweden. He was that disappointed with how things were going, and he was that concerned with how things are going. And Jacques Martin basically came in and taught that whole organization how to play. And they never won it, but they built up a team that became a real contender in the Eastern Conference. And I think that's what this is right now. This is sort of the interim step where on the ice, Jacques Martin is going to try to teach these guys how to play. Because, you've been watching them lately and they are really talented, but they're getting run over in ways that the Ottawa Senators with this kind of talent should not be run over. And I think that's what this is. This is the beginning of the build-up to, if you want to win in this league, there's a certain way you've got to play, and he's going to teach it to them.
We're joined by Elliotte Friedman from Sportsnet and 32 Thoughts. Elliotte, we've been on the air since 4 Eastern here. Have they had a press conference or a Zoom call, or have they spoken?
It's going on right now.
Is there any sense from your end that they're doing this to salvage a chance to still make the playoffs, or is this just to build towards, something greater down the road here? And just the feeling of the pressure in a smaller market like Ottawa from a fan base that was calling for DJ's job, and possibly the pressure that Andlauer's new ownership had towards that.
Well, first of all, Nick, like 30 games into a season, I don't think you ever say we're done and we're out of the playoffs. Now, I know that you were a better student than I was, and I was told when I was going into media there would be no math, but the math is not very good for the Ottawa Senators. Mm-hmm. It's going to take a miracle for them to make the playoffs, but you don't give it up 30 games in. Like, honestly, Nick, I just think they got backed into a corner. They were looking at the way the results were going. They were looking at the way things were happening. And they simply said, we can't let the status quo continue. Now, I also think that, you've still got a lot of home games to play. You want your fans to show up. You worry that, hey, they're going to say another written off season and they're not going to come. And I think that's always a factor. But at the end of the day, and I said it before, I think they wanted to let DJ ride this out. And I just think, Nick, they got forced into a situation where that was no longer possible. They had to make a change. And, I watched a couple minutes of Steve Staios before I came on the show, and he just looked like a guy that was like, and sound like a guy who was saying, I had to do it. Like, it's just time. And I had to do it.
So anyone who knows me really well knows I hate half measures. Like, just, commit to a thing or don't. I don't like being in limbo. It's just, that's not for me. So I look at this Ottawa Senators team. If I were a player on that team, I got a GM who might be the GM, but maybe he's not. I got a coach who might be the coach, but maybe he's not. I got an assistant coach. He might be here. Maybe he's learning. Like, do you think they're going to hire a general manager at some point, or do you think Staios is the guy? So coach, it sounds like it may be an off-season thing, but when are they going to have roles in place here?
Well, it's funny you talk about that, Justin, because I absolutely know that one of the things that the players told Staios and Andlauer was, we have too many distractions here, and we just want to worry about playing hockey.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons I think they waited as long as they did to make the coaching change, because they listened to that. And they just said, we're going to limit the distractions, and we're going to have this run like a really intelligent hockey organization. No distractions. So number one, I do believe that is very high on their list, creating a calm organization where they don't panic about things and they get things done properly. They do things that good organizations do. Justin, honestly, I think the whole GM thing, it matters, but it doesn't matter in the way you're talking about, because they know that Steve Staios is running the show here. Mm-hmm. He is the boss. Now, Andlauer is the boss, but when it comes to hockey, Staios is the boss. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to bring in a GM, or they're going to promote Ryan Bonus. They're going to do something like that, one of those things. But Steve Staios is there, and he's making the decisions. So I think that's irrelevant. I think with the coaching thing right now, I think it just comes down to, when do they find the person they want to go? I was left with the impression that Martin is not necessarily finishing the season. He may end up doing so, but I don't think it's impossible that they're going to bring in someone. Because now you look at it, Justin, there's a lot of good candidates out there.
They got their pick.
But look at all the but so is St. Louis. You got Doug Armstrong out there, and he also is. So there is at least a situation now where you've got at least one other team sitting there and saying, we are looking. So if you really want someone, you better go out and get them.
I just got, people are giving me names now, throwing me out there. Jay McKee's running his Andlauer's junior team in Brantford. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a wide range of names being thrown out there. But Elliotte, there's only one name, Patrick Waugh, okay? The guy, he's a winner, the intensity. Yep. You got the cross border Quebec with Montreal, and you've got the Battle of Ontario.
The potential for the Kypreos Clippers.
Please, there is no other choice, Elliotte. Just sign the guy and let's go.
I would love to see it. Nick, to be honest, I think the way that Patrick Waugh left Colorado was held against him for a long time. Mm. He didn't handle that very well, and I think there were teams who said, we're not going to take the risk on him because of the way he left Colorado. But I think you reach a point where you say, okay, it's been long enough. It's time to test someone on their merits. And I would love to see Waugh coach in the NHL one more time. Absolutely. I'm with you.
Next question here, as we discuss, where this is and their ability to get into the playoffs, which, frankly, we're skeptical of at this point, even though they may not be writing it off. Is there a point where Staios gets to say, what are we going to do here with Chychrun? What are we going to do with Tarasenko? What are we going to do with some of these guys? Do you foresee a sell-off in Ottawa, or a team that, probably wants to keep these fans engaged as long as possible?
Now, I think what they're doing, sort of the opposite of that a bit, Justin, they're establishing their core.
Okay.
I think that's one of the things that they're looking at here is, who is our core? Now, have a roster in front of you so I don't miss anyone. But I think when they look at their core, they're talking about up front, they're talking about Tkachuk, they're talking about Norris, they're talking about Batherson, they're talking about Stützle. Mm-hmm. I think Pinto is still in that core. I had wondered if they were going to move him, but I'm under the impression he just came back last weekend. On the weekend, he put up an Instagram post yesterday that seemed to indicate he was there. and I heard he was moving back to the city. He can't play until January 21st, but he's back in Ottawa, and I'm under the impression that he's probably going to sign his qualifying offer this year, and they are going to look to extend him. So I think he's in their core. On defense, I think their core is obviously Sanderson. I think Chychrun is somebody they see long-term being there. I think Shabbat, I know there's been a lot of rumors, but I think they see him as their core. So I think that you look at those guys, and let me know if I'm missing anyone obvious, but I think it's like those
Greg,
8 guys.
Kubelik.
Then Ridley, can you dangle
I don't think
Greg?
Kubelik's the core.
Can you dangle like one of them just to change it up? Would they make Greg available?
I don't know if they would like I like Greg. I think I don't know if I call him part of the core yet, but I think he's a young piece that's kind of growing into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't dangle Tarasenko. I could see that for sure. Kubelik, I could see that for sure.
Giroux just played out his deal.
I think they just keep him, and because he's a vet. But unless he decides he wants to leave for some reason, but I think they're identifying their core and they're going to go from there. So Tarasenko, I could see some of those other. Greg, why would you do that? He looks like he's going to be a player. He just hasn't done it as much yet.
Love it.
You know what I wonder about is Boucher. That's one I kind of wonder about a little bit. Like, what are they thinking with him there, Tyler? So I'm curious about that one.
It's like, does a 9-10 percentage would have been a difference maker for DJ Smith playing out the rest of the year? Like, how much is this on Korpisalo not fulfilling so far a 5-year deal?
I think that's got something to do with it, Nick. But watching him the past couple of days, it was deeper than goaltending. And I think like the one thing I always think about when a rookie coach gets fired, I always wonder about the second time. Someone told me there's studies out there that show that, and I haven't done the math because, like I said, there was no math when I went into sports media, but I haven't done the math. But somebody told me there's studies out there that talk about how coaches tend to be most successful in their second jobs.
There you go.
Great stuff, Elliotte. Thanks for joining us. Apparently, there were no hairbrushes as well in broadcasting school.
Appreciate your time.
I gotta tell you, Nick, this is good for me. Like, it doesn't get much better than this, man.
You're right.
Like, what can I do? Like, I can't do much.
You're right.
It
There's
is
no
good.
Hillary at home.
Thanks for doing this, Elliotte.
See you guys Thursday. Okay.
All right, Al. Thanks,
All
man.
right, Elliotte Friedman. The other thing with Patrick Wise, he can sell tickets, guys.
Oh yeah,
he makes them a very interesting club to follow.
I'm a great fit for him, I would imagine, given right like proximity.
Really good fit. I just don't know.
I'll tell you,
they'll go down that path.
Sens friends I have want a taskmaster. They want someone to come in and do their talk it thing, do the Tortorella thing in Philly. Waz got a little of that in him, a lot of that in him.
The most of it.
A ton.
Well, he's been running a junior team, so he has been the boss of boss.
Well,
for a long time.
guys.
Second stint.
And I had one in Keenan. They don't let you come in and relax. No, you can have fun. You can in your own way.
Provided you're winning and playing well.
If you have
and
good leadership, they can kind of control that. But there's a sense that our foot is always on the pedal here. There are no off days. There are it's not
it's
a country
like working
club.
with you, just grinding us every day in the office.
Having fun,
just hard got to work with.
Having fun is second. Winning is first.
Hey, that's a lot of coaches I had say, when you'll have fun? When you win.
Yeah, winning is so fun.
Yeah, it's way more fun. And I can't argue with that.
I saw a little bit of this because I do wallow into Sens Twitter here and there just to keep an eye. Brady and Mark Stone go out the night before to the UFC. Pictured. I went to look who actually
hated that.
Went to see who actually posted it. It was T-Mobile Arena, their official account.
Okay, it's not them posting it,
which makes it a little better for me. But I do think bit of a tough visual for Brady.
Night before going to war against someone, having a hangout.
listen, this has been twice in the past 2 weeks where I've been hard on Brady. I love Brady. But him going out and them getting starched in Vegas, him going to UFC with a guy on the other team, them going and losing, and then their coach getting fired. Not a great visual.
I'll just repeat what I said before when we had a very brief interaction on this, which is just, if it's anyone other than Brady, I'd say I hate it. But
Agreed.
you cannot accuse him of not competing. And same with Mark Stone, two crazy competitive guys.
But it's not bad from Mark Stone's perspective. He was a captain of a cup-winning team, and he's
went out and won.
They killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know times have changed for sure. And a lot of these guys are good buddies. They can battle, but they're good buddies. And that stuff happened in my era. There's just no phones or there's no PR departments to
I'll say it
catch.
happened when I played, but like we did make an effort to conceal it.
There are dinners, there's beers, but there is, yes, you're right. You
didn't want your coach knowing you went out with the guy in the other team.
You didn't even want your teammates to know.
Right.
Where are you going? I'm just going to go meet someone for beer. You're going to meet the other team.
It was like
and
cheating,
it's like,
for sure.
You just didn't mention it.
Staying in tonight.
But
speaking of that, do you think
I'm with Sammy though? I prefer it not to get out there, and I think there's still some growth in Brady and his maturation towards being a team leader. Sometimes, you get
going to support Matthew and having the beers and stuff last year.
The Calgary thing was a disaster for him.
That.
No, you're a member of the Ottawa Senators. You're not cheering for anybody, including someone that your brother plays for. I'm sorry,
if he didn't compete like he did, I would feel.
I like this take and agree with this take as well. So I see both sides of it.
Yeah.
So I'm doing the worst sports talk radio thing. I'm sitting on the fence. I see both sides of this. Yeah, do you want to do game time?
Sure.
Okay. It's game time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. So, do you know how many games the Detroit Pistons have lost in a row?
I know that they haven't won a game since the Rangers won the World Series. It was a tweet I saw today. 22?
23 games in a row. They've lost 23 games
in a row.
The NBA team?
Yes.
They've lost 23 games in a row.
Yes.
Correct.
They've lost 23 games
in a row.
I don't know that. I just told you right now.
You're a hockey guy.
And for me, they're going to win eventually. They're playing tonight. And for one of my picks, I'm going to go with the Detroit Pistons tonight to break a 23-game winning streak.
Are they playing the Raptors or
They
something?
are playing the Atlanta Hawks, who are not world beaters themselves. They are plus 475.
Oh,
to win one basketball game.
Yes.
I mean, that's as good as a big parlay. That's a huge underdog. Obviously, they've lost 23 games in a row. They're all professionals. They're going to win eventually. They're not. So there you go. One of Sam's picks
now
today.
I'm forced to check up on that score
I know.
all night now.
I will be also in tune to that.
I just have a
I
feeling.
might bet that.
And I'm going to really hope they lose again. So,
Well, we talked about this today on the producer meeting because we talked about them losing. And if they lose tonight, they could tie the all-time record on Saturday because they have 3 games this week. The all-time record, I think I saw it was
the Vancouver Grizzlies?
It was
Orlando?
the Cavs. I think the Cavs lost 26. The year after LeBron left, they lost 26 games. Good year for Cleveland. But the longest.
I can't even imagine being on a team like at 15, 16, and 17.
What was the longest one you went
25
through?
and the ball goes up and
I
you're
don't
like,
know.
here we go.
I played in Hartford, man. We probably had a few. I
But-
mean,
23 is nuts.
Played
no,
for
that's
the
crazy.
University of Alaska Anchorage. We didn't win all that much. I know what it's like to be a part of a little losing streak. It ain't awesome.
Was it 23 games in
It
a
was
know?
not even close.
So do you know who has the record for NHL?
Stop.
I know,
Can't-
this is
I don't think-
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh and another team are
Just
tied.
recently. Pittsburgh 17, 16.
18 games.
18.
The 03-04 Pittsburgh Penguins lost. And in 2021, the
Sid
Buffalo
year.
Sabres lost
draft
18 games in a row as well. So they're both
And that's
tied.
the
Quarter
McDavid
of
draft
your
year.
season.
What a coincidence. Terrible teams.
18. That's not McDavid. McDavid, that's 2021.
What year was that? Sorry.
They've lost in the year 2020, 2021. The
never
Buffalo
mind.
Sabres,
My
they
bad
just
on that
sucked.
one. It was the Crosby year, though,
Yes.
that Pittsburgh was bad, right?
Maybe that was with him?
Pre-event? Yeah.
No, they
That's
dropped
just
him in
Because there was
05.
Misery.
Yeah.
strike in there. lockout.
I don't know. Anyways, I can't imagine. And the other quick pick I had for tonight, I was looking at the board for the NHL. I like to find value, not a ton of value in the underdogs tonight. So I had a quick one with the Red Wings over the Ducks, the Jets over the Habs, and the Stars over the Kraken for a little 3-game favorite parlay, pays plus 201. So that's another quick little one for you.
I think Stars in regulation against Seattle's a decent bet, too.
Yeah.
I think it's like minus 110.
Stars good, Squid's bad. There
Got
you go. That was Game Time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Go Pistons, go, boys.
What do you call them? Go Stins?
Stins.
You already think the first half of the word. Don't want to root for it.
All right, quick break.
Yes, and I was just producer here, Armin, texted me. The record is the 28 games in a row for the Philadelphia 76ers in 2015, but that was spread over 2 seasons. So it's at the end of one season.
Yeah,
and
we're
another.
not counting that.
So there you go. Anyways, Go ahead.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, Larkin playing tonight for Detroit. There's a hearing, too, tomorrow as well for
to see if
Perron
gets some money back. He probably won't be able to not miss games he's already missed.
Yeah, we probably won't know. But this one has an interesting twist to it, and we'll get into that. Brock Besser, also hotter than a firecracker still.
Mm-hmm.
And that's amazing. Pasta's avoided suspension. I want to get your thoughts on the hit. Lindgren, he buried him behind the net.
Kick him off the tour.
And people want to kick him off the tour.
Can we get Ryan Lindgren a break?
Oh, my God.
From getting absolutely drilled.
And more as we continue on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Back on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. All right, Sammy, where do you want to start? You're not happy about the Boston Bruins and Pasternak avoiding a suspension on his hit?
Yeah. Stars are above the law, I guess. You just drive a guy's face into the boards, send him off the ice bleeding, and all good.
Are we seeing, does it feel like we're seeing more hits from that?
It's a dangerous hit. Sure, he turned, but you got to, like.
He barely did. He's seen his numbers the whole way.
See,
I don't think it had the force to rise to the level of.
I thought he hit him really hard.
He deserved a game.
It's okay. Lindgren's heading towards the corner, guys. He's not going to the boards. And if he holds his position, it's shoulder to somewhat shoulder.
If he keeps skating and stays,
but he turns at the last second.
Up.
He pulls up.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Probably because he didn't want to get greased from behind. I don't know what he's
thinking. But you got greased from behind even worse when you turned at the last second.
In all honesty,
we've had this conversation before, guys.
But in all honesty, Lindgren got crushed by McCabe. He got crushed by 3 guys prior to this. I wonder if he was just hesitant going after a puck, and then it worked. It's like defensive driving is less safe than offensive driving.
I'm just gonna say
it's an opinion thing.
Noah Gregor throws that hit, he's getting a game. You know. Somebody.
What do you think?
Well, first of all, he plays for the Leafs, so they get suspended.
This is not a guy facing the boards. He's not a guy that's showing numbers. It's a 50-50 puck, and he takes one hand to reach for it.
It's bad.
It's not bad.
50-50 puck.
Okay, 60-40.
It's a bad play, man. He got 5 in a game, right?
Hey, Pasta's not sneaking up on him. He knows he's there.
I think that it might be the best point.
He knows he's there.
And
So, why aren't you bracing for the hit? Why is the puck more important than yourself at that point?
I wrote that article last week that the NHL is caught between these 2 generations of physicality. To me, Lindgren, if he is that concerned that reaching for the puck there is going to get him crushed, then maybe you just have to accept the contact and play the puck later.
I think it's a great non-suspension call.
Wow.
Because he is, at least you can say.
That is wretched.
You can say a lot of things, but
is great.
Lindgren getting surprised by Pasternak isn't one of them.
Yes. He knows the player is coming for him. He knows he's there. So, yes, turning your numbers.
I could not disagree more. That is the exact hit. That's similar to Nick Cousins on.
No,
it's not. Yes, it is.
Oh. Sure, you have 10 more examples in your beer league.
No, he's charging, sees his numbers, continues, drives his head into the boards from behind. That is a game suspension.
I think they should do the opposite. Give him an extra game. It was so clean. He should get to play 83 games this year.
Look at that screenshot.
I just watched it 7 times.
The president of the Booster Club here cannot vote on anyone in the Atlantic Division on suspensions.
Opinions. You can weigh in on the Western Conference.
Yes, I will give you that.
For the record.
But as being a Leaf lover, you're not allowed
in
the Atlantic Division.
If Willie Nylander threw this hit, I would be the happy. I would be as happy as I was on my wedding day if Willie Nylander threw that hit. Like that's what we all love about Pasta. We talk about it all the time. That's what separates him from Willie, is that greasiness. And I love the fact that he's greasy. But when you are greasy, you deserve a game for greasy hits.
Separates himself from Willie. Willie's on pace for 117 points this year, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, he's got so many points.
Oh, my God.
So he'll calm down and score 105.
Yeah.
Still make $11 million next year.
Is that where the number's at right now?
I think the numbers with Pasta at 11.6.
Yeah.
And I think they hope to get it down to 11.
He just keeps doing points.
5 games on tap tonight, including Minnesota at Pittsburgh. Will we see Marc-Andre Fleury, Sammy?
No. John Hines is starting Gustafsson tonight.
Wow. I saw someone say that it could
Not
be
a happy guy or
the
what?
last chance for him to
You okay with that?
Fleury to play there.
I am okay with it because, listen, I think if you're the coach, a brand new coach of a team, that's very clear mandate is get your team back into a playoff position, and you have a goaltender that's playing very well. I think it's pretty fair to play that goaltender that's playing really well.
Yeah, he is the hottest goaltender in the league going back the past 3 weeks. His save percentages, we're looking at 958, 963, 933, 946, 972.
But yeah, I kind of watched that team on Saturday night. You could probably win that game with Marc-Andre Fleury in net.
If you can't, you're in trouble with Marc-Andre Fleury.
What do you think?
Listen, they're pretty hot team since they made the coaching change, are they not?
Yeah, 7-3 in their last 10. Yeah.
Does that tell other teams? Just like Ottawa should be good now.
Ottawa's just going to go on a tear. I will say Ottawa's schedule the past few weeks has been really hard. Like, it does lighten up a little bit. There's still some... I wouldn't be shocked if they won a handful of games here.
Well, what if they are the bad team?
What's that?
But they're the bad team.
They may be the bad team. Well,
the
stats say they are.
Other teams are like, oh, our schedule's lighting up. We're playing Ottawa.
Ottawa, dead last in the in the East, +1 goal differential.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They aren't San Jose or Chicago or Anaheim.
I think the Senators have a chance with Jacques Martin if he could just, from what I hear, shorten his meetings.
Oh, really? Is that like a
he's got the
thing?
long meetings.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
And he's going to bring in the left wing lock from 2008.
So we got off point here. Does it rub you the wrong way that he's not starting Fleury last game? Like, sentimental doesn't matter?
No.
Yeah,
no. Not at this point in his career. And Gustafsson gives you your best chance to win. That's all you got to focus on.
I like the nice little things like, hey, we're in Sweden, start the Swedish guys. You know, like they're on the team too, they can play. But a goalie is a pretty big commitment for a gesture, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. Before we were talking Boston, I wanted to stay on Boston. You had mentioned Matthew Poitras.
Yeah.
Boston is sending him to the World Juniors, which pretty significant for a guy who's played their whole season to go back in. I think fairly uncommon.
It's very rare.
Yeah. He's played a ton of hockey for the Bruins this year.
Now, we had Bukala on the other day. Is not that I'm following it real closely here, but does this help Canada immensely go up against the U.S.?
I would imagine.
Oh, boy.
Is it a game-changing kind of feel?
You know, to me, it feels like it is because he was talking about how, Canada is going to grind it out a little bit and doesn't have the skill to hang with the Americans. So having a guy who's played in the NHL this long is great. He's got 13 points in the season. I will say his ice time in October, he played 15-13. In November, he played 14-07. This month, he's played 12-02. Running out of steam a little bit.
Yeah, but like I'm just looking
Which
at...
you would expect for a young player.
But it's funny. I'm just looking at his last 3 games. 14-44, 14-22, 8-26. I'll give you that. Yeah. But he's got 2 points his last 3 games. He's playing for them. So they're a team that's good.
He's got 3 points in his last 30 games. So,
but the last 3 games.
Fair enough.
No, that's
that
not
also
true.
Wasn't accurate.
That's not true at all.
No, it's not true.
I'm looking through here.
He has 8 points in the past 2
months. He's having a good year. Like, he's got 13 points in 27 games. Like, for a team that's in a pretty good playoff.
To go to Team Canada, that's a big news for Team Canada.
Yeah,
I'm surprised they're letting him go, but I will clarify, he should get to go. I think it's really good for these guys to go be the man in pressure situations.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch the Leafs guys on that team.
All right, what do we make of Brock Besser and close to a 60-goal pace still. Like,
He's got to be at least.
we knew Brock Besser what's he making? $6 million this year? Like, he's
Sounds right.
a good goal scorer, but can he keep this up?
He is 23, tied with Austin Matthews for first in the NHL.
Like, no
5 more
one
games
saw
to go.
that coming.
No. I mean, geez, he was actively available to a lot of teams, I would say, last year. So that's kind of the formula for everything going right for a season, right? Is you need a guy like that who you've kind of not given up on, but you've been disappointed in their performance to really hit it like this. I will say, I've always thought he was this type of goal scorer, like a top 10 goal scorer.
God, he
in the
can
league.
shoot the pill, though, eh?
Really shoots it.
Yeah.
And just a nose for the net, one of those, like the way that Jake Gensel just kind of sniffs out goals.
And it's nice for the Canucks that they had that little swoon where they were like maybe 5-5 in 10 games, and they've kind of pulled out of it here now. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10.
Mhm.
They're a plus 41. They're just good.
They're good.
They're a really
They're
good team.
And even I wrote something earlier in the season, like, even if they're not quite this good, they're legitimately good.
Yeah.
I think they're Canada's best team. Winnipeg. By the way, we had Kevin Cheveldayoff on the show. We're joining the show today prior to the Ottawa firing. We intended to give the Jets some love today.
And he's scheduled to join us on Wednesday.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
All right.
Scheduled. So there you go.
Yeah.
But they're giving Winnipeg or
And
Vancouver
Flacco.
a run for not so fast on who's the best in the country right now.
And quickly,
They've
before we move off the Vancouver Canucks, they played the Blackhawks yesterday, and Connor Bedard now 26 points in 30 games. What's he going to look like when he plays with one good player?
I know.
He's having
It's so hard to get points
he's
on a team that plays in the D zone the whole game.
12 goals, 14 assists, 26 points in 30 games. Minus 15, obviously going to be expected playing on a crappy team, but like give the kid a ton of credit.
So I don't know where we are at international, like the Four Seasons tournament next year, the Four Nations.
The Four Seasons.
Oh, is that what we are? The Four Nations?
That's what they'll be staying at the
They
Four
haven't
Seasons.
titled it yet.
Yeah.
It's the tournament with no name.
But you're saying he's a lock.
Well, what I'm saying is it's
Lock.
You seen
McDavid,
Canada?
Lock.
McDavid and Bedard. Is that not the line everyone's talking about?
Borny, I've seen Canada, okay?
Yeah.
And I have seen a lot of little. It's not
Look at Sammy laid up right now.
as
He's saying it's not.
it's not as good as I thought. Like, we're good.
Yeah.
We're Canada. We're good. You can't teach how much we love hockey and the passion for hockey. That's what separates us from everybody else. But like, it's not what it once was, is what I'll say. And when you look at the other rosters around the world, everyone has really caught up to us. And
Well,
like,
it's the
Americans
U.S.
in
It's the
particular.
U.S. that
buddy,
you're.
look at Finland. Finland's amazing now. Look at, you can't do Russia anymore, but Sweden's really great.
You know what shocked me today that Sam told me? We were talking about how good the Canucks are, and he goes, they have 0 Canadians among their forward group.
Yeah.
12 forwards.
Yeah.
0 of them Canadian.
Is that the part where he says they'll never win now?
No.
I can't win without. Was he Don Cherry?
I just thought it was interesting. The one guy they have is Di Giuseppe, who's Canadian, but he mixes in and out of the lineup for that game. He wasn't in there. But yeah, there was all non-Canadians. It's crazy. You don't see that very often.
Did you see Zadorov go after is it Johnson who ran Petey?
Yeah.
Yeah, like my daughter has one of those little like block things where you hammer them in the pegs into the hole, and that's what he did to the guy. Just the first punch was just downhill, just gunk.
See, you got to love it, right? I mean,
I
it's
do.
come on
I do, I'll be honest.
for Rick Tocchet and that whole morale. And we were talking earlier in our show about Matthew Knies coming to the aid of Max Domi.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the but is like, where is that line? And I'm a little torn on it too. I don't know what the answer is, guys, but like between the challenge and then the acceptance of the challenge. And I know it's always a topic of conversation, but when do you need to fight? When can you not fight? When can you turn down an invitation? When can you not turn down the invitation? Is it automatic that Zadorov comes after you and you have to fight? I
don't think he's the enforcer.
And that hit was not bad.
Not bad at all.
At all. And
But
neither
isn't that the
neither was the
idea?
Domi one.
Right?
But I think that's the idea, that you have a guy that says not even close. If
Like,
you're
don't
ever
even
torn,
think about it.
yeah. If you're ever torn on should I throw this hit or not, don't.
I know, but are we guilting people to fight?
Well,
Are we having a crisis of morals right now? Is that?
No, it's not a morals thing, but I'm like, listen, I'm all for challenging.
I thought I knew that.
But I don't know if the answer is right that every time you hit a guy, that if someone comes after you, you have to fight.
I don't think you do.
I've been with, even in my era, and I played with some of the biggest, toughest guys like a Ty Domi, and Ty got to say, not yet.
Yeah.
Not on your terms. You don't get to come and challenge me when you feel like it.
Clark Gary's never had 100 PIMs. How many times do you think he said no?
I just don't know necessarily what the right answer is, and I guess it's an individual thing. But I don't always have to fight on your terms. Mm-hmm. I get it to say a say in it.
So much of it should be game state related. Like if we're going to claim fighting as a tactic, an in-game strategy, it can't just be bad hit fight. Like it's got to be, hey, we're up 3-1. I'm not giving you this fight right now. I'm going to stay on the ice. I
agree with that.
I think the time, not to praise the Leafs too much here, but the time Knies did it was perfect.
Great.
After he scored a goal already, the building's already buzzing. It's the first period. Borderline hit, gets the crowd even more into it. You go in and win 7-0. It looks like the greatest decision ever.
Now, he was the instigator in it.
For sure. And he didn't get one.
But there's no instigator.
Nice. Agree. Good.
But
it's
if I'm Ludwig too, I think I got a little jumped.
Well, he did.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know with that. I don't agree.
Oh, no.
I don't agree with that.
Not nice.
He doesn't even have hands on him. Ludwig's backing up. He has his gloves off before they touch.
He's backing up. Yeah. He's already engaged with
jumped.
with Max. Not jumped.
We're in a fight.
He's got the upper hand. How's that? The upper hand.
He is being told we're in a fight.
We're not squaring off 50-50 here.
Right. Hey, listen, we've had this conversation where you've told me it doesn't matter. You're all about throwing the first punch every time we have this chat.
I'm a dirty fighter. I admit it. Right?
I think that's...
I'll take the jump.
Yeah.
But I also knew that when I did that, I'd have to answer it down the road. Like there might be another situation when I don't get the jump on you.
Right.
And I have to square up with you.
Yeah.
And now it's a different
feel.
When
I thought I had to be doing that because if I had time to think about it, I would have left the arena. I needed the fight to start before I could change my mind.
Would Matthew Knies get to a point where he calls someone over and say, okay, let's
do the dance at center ice?
Let's do the dance at center ice.
I would guess not.
Because I'm telling you, if I didn't get jumps on 40% of my guys, I ain't squaring up with Tony Twist.
Yeah, you're not going to center ice at Madison Square Garden.
He's ripping my head off on a 50-50 start.
How much of that is because you're 6 feet tall and not, Zadorov sized?
Not fair. The hockey gods didn't look after me at 6'4" and 250 pounds.
My dad was 6'4" and left-handed. That's like a cheat code, right? That's
yeah, I was left-handed until everybody figured out I was left-handed.
Right. Did you become right-handed once that happened?
No, I was never that good. Never that good. That's when I quit.
Yeah.
when I was out of surprises.
You got me figured out. Yeah.
All right. Our thanks to Elliotte Friedman, who joined us at the top of the hour. Once again, the big story. Ottawa Senators firing DJ Smith today. All right, boys. What's up on tap tonight? You working tonight or are you off tonight?
Wednesday, Thursday this week.
Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah. Zigzags game day, baby. Go Zigs.
All right. 5 games on tap, including Montreal at Winnipeg. Enjoy the games. Florida at Calgary, too. I'm going to watch that one. They did a number on Edmonton, didn't they? Enjoy your games tonight.